I said it before. I wasn't joking around. They're a different team this year. They're competing at a much different level, and that was a very tough series.
It's so much closer than you think, but you're going to kill these guys, and they don't deserve it. That's 7 games, and we played well. What's great for the league is hard for the Toronto Maple Leafs and their players. Right, the passion for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the scrutiny that these men are under, is why everybody else gets paid so much. It's a driver, but there's a cost to it, and there's a challenge. Yeah, you can hit one out of the park here, and then you're never buying lunch for the rest of your life, right? But there's a cost for these guys, for their families. When you lose a game like this, it's going to be rough on them.
Yeah, I'm going to defend Leafs fans. I think they're a passionate bunch. I think they love their team with all their heart. And they truly want the Toronto Maple Leafs to succeed. So when I see this narrative that, oh, it's so much pressure to play in Toronto. Oh, my, it's so brutal. They're so mean. The media is so mean. Give me a f***ing break. Honestly. It's... in any way, shape, or form, to blame the whole fan base for the team's lack of ability to win a big Game 7 is just pure stupidity. Can there be fans that go over the top? Absolutely. Are there fans that become stalkers? True. Yeah, that happens. There's friggin' weirdos out there. I mean, fans is short for fanatics. Sometimes you get those people out there that don't understand basic human decency. So I'll give you that, right? But that's in every fan base. And with Toronto, you can criticize them for being super passionate, criticizing the team heavily, but as a player that plays a sport that isn't necessarily the biggest in the world, in some sense, wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want that attention? Wouldn't you want to feel like your team is the most important thing in that city? And to have this notion that only Toronto is very passionate and gets crazy is absolutely absurd. We have seen Canadian teams, I should say. I mean, Vancouver, after they lost to the Bruins in 2011, they burnt down that city. I'm not saying that's an appropriate reaction. They're passionate. Montreal, known for their passion. You have successful hockey teams in Canada that have dedicated fan bases. And they have found success in some way, shape, or form. And to me, when I look at this Core 4 experiment, it has been just an unmitigated disaster. They just don't have it. They don't have the ability to clutch up in these big moments. And I understand what Paul Maurice and Brad Marchand are trying to do. These guys are under a lot of pressure. This is a very good hockey team. But it still just continues that trend in these big moments where the Leafs have all the ability in the world. They just continually fall short. And to blame the fans, it just irks me. It's like, I'm speaking this as a Bruins fan. In our own market, we have overzealous nut jobs on the radio. These people that say the stupidest takes in the world. So I can get it to a certain extent. And if I had someone say, well, it's because of the Bruins fans that this team lost, I'd just be like, shut the f*** up. Go out there and do your job. You are an athlete. You are paid millions of dollars. I do not feel pity about you getting criticized for your play. You make the money. That you signed up for this gig understanding that criticism is going to be a part of the gig. If you want to go to an unknown market, go overseas. Go overseas. If you don't want the same attention, even there, I feel like I'm being unfair to fans overseas with the SHL. They have passionate fan bases themselves. You're playing a sport. You're playing a child's game. As an adult and getting paid millions, I don't feel pity for you getting criticized. Now, if it's off the ice stuff where they're insulting your family, stalking, harassing, that's a completely different conversation. But to say because the pressure is too great in Toronto and there's no pressure like that elsewhere in the NHL, and that's the reason why this team constantly fails, is absurd. Can the media coverage be a little bit over the top? I mean, I guess, sure. But with how big of failures this Core 4 experiment has been, can you even really blame the media? Of course it's going to be a conversation point. I mean, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews in Game 5 and Game 6 did their best Casper the Friendly Ghost impersonations. They don't have it. The Leafs core, personality-wise, fundamentally, they just don't have it. I think it's time to blow things up. I think it's time to really just let Marner walk. Tavares, let him go too. Keep Austin Matthews, see if you can kind of salvage that, build something there. I mean, you did sign Nylander. And I thought with the Leafs this year, with the additions they made, right, in the offseason and in the trade market, you have Tanev, brought him in. Good defenseman when healthy. You traded for Brandon Carlo, a serviceable top 4 defender as well. You brought in OEL as well from the Florida Panthers, who just won a ring. And you brought in Lawton from the Philadelphia Flyers at the deadline. I liked a lot of the moves. And quite frankly, on paper, could have been a team that I think skill-wise could have came out of the Eastern Conference. Probably should have. But Florida, very good team. And in the big moments, they don't shrink. They don't shrink. Unfortunately for the Maple Leafs, their players are losers. It is what it is. They don't have that mental makeup yet. It reminds me of some of those San Jose Shark teams with, what was it, Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau. Like, they'd go deep, they'd go on some, win a couple rounds, but eventually always just lose to some team, even though they had a spectacular regular season. The Maple Leafs, with this current core, will never be able to get over the hump. And that's on the players, not the fans. To say or blame any fan because they're passionate and love their team, to blame them for your 6-1 spanking you got in Game 7 is absolutely absurd. You could have had a high school hockey team put up a better fight than what I saw with the Maple Leafs in the second and third period. It was pathetic. And I felt bad for Joseph Wall. I mean, a couple goals he wanted to have back after the first 3. But when your team gets put over the Panthers' lap and Brad Marchand's just daddy and spanking you, it's demoralizing. I don't think the problem's the goaltending. I think when it kind of comes down to it, the Leafs lack backbone. And I'm not exactly sure how you can solve that without changing that room up massively. And I think by, honestly, getting rid of Marner and Tavares and just changing things up, getting new voices in the room, maybe some guys that have had some winning experience. And I know they did that with some trades and acquisitions in the offseason even, but completely changing it up and changing the culture. And I mean, it's Shanaplan. I mean, he's got to go, right? Sure, the Leafs are a successful regular season team, but under his watch, have they been able to get over the hump? No. He's done great things for this organization, has set them up in places to be very good and a very steady team in comparison to where they were before. But it's just not working. I think they need to shift directions here. I don't think they're that far off from getting over the hump. But the culture's got to change in Toronto. And the whining and the softness, that's also got to change. You got to bring in players that actually have a pair of balls, that have a sack on them. You need guys in there that just are going to go at your throat and be a word. Like what Kachuk was for the Florida Panthers, right? When the Florida Panthers collapsed after a great season, right? And they get ousted early in the playoffs. They get Kachuk, change the locker room dynamic with just one player. And Kachuk is a all-star, round superstar level talent himself. So he's a fantastic talent. But he also just has that mentality. Even when they get down in a series or they get down in a game, he still fully believes that his team can and will win. And when I look at the Leafs locker room, I think they lack that. I think they lack that leader to really settle things down and be like, hey guys, like, we still got this. We can do this. I think the Leafs are talented. I do. I don't think they're that far off. I mean, it's Game 7. But it's the way in which they lost this Game 7, it's just concerning to me as a neutral fan, not a fan of either the Maple Leafs or the Panthers. The way they got spanked, you don't want that to happen. And I'm going to reiterate this again. If you blame the fans for loving your team, being passionate, and being critical of your mess-ups, you are in the wrong profession. You are a professional athlete playing a child's game, getting paid millions of dollars. Who gives a fuck what some idiot says on X or Twitter? If you are that mentally soft, if you are Kevin Durant of the NHL, you're not going to prosper in that area at all. You're not going to prosper in that city. They need guys that have the heart of champions, the heart of a lion. And I just see a bunch of timid sheep in that Leafs locker room, in my personal opinion. But that's my little rant, I would say. Let's not blame fans for being passionate. Let's blame your absolute dog shit performance for losing in Game 7. I get it, Marchand and Marie's trying to be nice, but really? Oh, it's too big. Get the fuck out of here.